Welcome to this comprehensive tutorial on control structures in Python. Control structures are a fundamental part of any programming language, and they allow you to control the flow of your code. There are three main control structures. The first control structure we're going to look at is the if-else statements. They are used to execute a block of code based on whether a certain condition is met. The syntax is very simple. It has two parts, the if part and the else part. In the if part, that's where we specify the condition and we write the code that we would like to execute if the condition is true. We write it here. And if the condition is false, then we write our piece of code here that we would like to execute. We can do a few examples in Jupyter Notebook to demonstrate how to work with if-else statements. We can use two examples. The first example, suppose that you have a variable x and you wanted to check if the value of x is greater than 3, then we can do the following. That's our example. If suppose now you have the value of x to be 5 and you want to check if it's greater than 3, then we use the if statement. If x is greater than 3, then what do we want to do? We want to print out the value of x to be value of x is greater than 3. The condition will be checked. If it's true, this will be printed out. But if it's not true, then we print the else part. The else part will do the opposite of whatever happened here. Or you can specify a different piece of code. But in this case, we just want to check if it's true or not true. So we print out x is not greater than 3. If we execute this, then we see that x is greater than 3, which means this has been executed. The reason for that is that the condition was checked and it was ascertained that this is true. Given that it's true, this piece of code will be executed, and that's why we got x is greater than 3. Suppose now we had our value of x to be 2. Let's see what happens. If I execute this, I get x is not greater than 3. The reason for this is because the condition was checked and we have is 2 greater than 3. The answer is no, which means that this will return false, which means the second part will be executed, and hence x is not greater than 3 was printed out. I hope that is clear. And there's also some instances where you'd like to check more than one condition. For example, suppose that you had a number or the variable x with a certain value, and you wanted to check if the value of that variable is greater than 10. If it so happened that it's not greater than 10, it's less than 10, then check another condition, which is check if it is greater than 3. So there are two layers. First, check if it's greater than 10. If true, then we're going to execute something. If it's not true, we check if it's greater than 3 and do something else. If those two conditions are not met, then automatically say it's not greater than 3. So the first thing we need is our variable x is assigned the value, let's say 6. So we want to check the first condition. So we say if x is greater than 10, then what do we want to do? We print out that the value of x is greater than 10. If that is not true, then we use the keyword elif, which stands for else if. Else if x is greater than 3, then what do? We print out that the value of x is greater than 3, but not greater than 10. What if now these two conditions are not met? Then we use the else component. The else component will mean that if these two have not been met, then it means that the value of x is less than 3, or we can simply say it's not greater than 3. So we print out x is not greater than 3. Let's now check what we get if we execute the cell. We see that x is greater than 3, but not greater than 10. Suppose now, instead of having 6 as the value of x, what if we had 2? and we execute, we get x is not greater than 3. The reason for that is that the else part has been executed. And what happened, what Python did is that it came here, replaced the value of x to be 2, and checked the condition. Is x greater than 10? Of course, it's false. So, because it's false, it goes to the next condition, check the next condition. So, it came to replace x here, checked if 2 is greater than 3. Is it true or false? It's false. So, has to go to the next block. The next block of which you have x. So, whatever happens, if that is not met, then we have to execute. This is the third part, of which now we return x is not greater than 3. So, suppose now, instead of 2, we had something like 14. And so what will happen here, in this case, before I even execute the cell, I'll come and check, is 14 greater than 10? Yes. So if it's true, then it prints out this. And it doesn't check any other condition, because the first instance where the condition was met, that's when it executed the code. So we can confirm that, and we see that x is greater than 10, which means the condition was met at the first instance at the if block. And that's it for if else. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Please also do remember to subscribe, share, and like my videos.